Let's hope I don't get karmic justice for this. Back in your life with an L for the choking Duke fans. This is the Educated Ignorance Podcast on the For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network. And good God Almighty, we have something to talk about. It is the glass is shattered. It is that man's music. The Don Corleone himself has come to join me on this luscious, illustrious Sunday evening, and we are going to chat about basketball. And maybe he'll talk about how his team beat my team in 2005, and then I'll tell him I don't remember it. I don't remember watching college sports back then. But it's okay. I'm showing my age now. We are presented as always by Ryan Al's Tattoo and Derma Modeling. Thank you for hanging out with us on whatever platform you are watching. Like the video if you like the video. Share if you like or share. If you get a moment, tell your friends. We really appreciate it. We are going to talk a lot about college basketball this weekend. We are going to discuss what the blue hell just happened in Washington, D.C., and Don is going to tell us all how John Shire should be on the unemployment line. Don, how are you, my friend?
I am so elated at the fact of the matter is that I've yet again spoken into existence. John Shire has continued to be a regular season merchant, continued to do nothing with the talented teams, and the inexperience of some of these players in these big moments has gone to show over the last couple of years. And I think culminating now, I do not think that John Shire will ever win the national championship as the head coach of Duke basketball. If he couldn't win with the star-studded group last year, and then he couldn't win with a team who was legit a number one overall seed. They were the best team all year. All four of their losses, they have blown double-digit leads this year.
Uh-huh.
That's coaching. That's coaching. It's bad coaching.
So this is a great day for the John Shire Can't Coach crowd. We are going to discuss that at length. We're going to discuss a lot at length. We'll see what else we can pitch around over the next hour or so. We're obviously going to start. By the way, chime in with your opinions. If you're a Duke fan and you're watching, I'm sorry. If you're an Illinois fan and watching, you're welcome. If you're an Iowa fan, aka Brian, I'm sorry. Congrats on the great season. You and I don't have beef, but it was funny to see some Iowa people on Twitter yesterday complain about the officiating. Regardless, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about the teams who made the Final Four. We're going to have so many different things covered for you this week on our platforms, Final Four-wise, so make sure to tune in for all of that. Let's start with this, of course. Duke and UConn in a game that was a snoozer, a day that was a snoozer, considering Tennessee, unshockingly, got baptized today by Michigan, which I think at least I saw coming. I expected it. But maybe not that bad. Michigan winning by over 30 points. And then the Duke-UConn game began, and it was clear from the jump that Duke was the better team. They were outclassing Connecticut, and then all of a sudden, the portion of games where games can sneakily get won and lost, the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half, you wouldn't think it when you're up 19 when it starts, but those 8 minutes turned into an abject disaster for Duke, and it's allowed the door to creak open for UConn, and they slowly walk down the Blue Devils, and then chaos reigns. Byron Mullins with literally, after the UConn guards were legitimately selling for 2.5 hours or however long the game was, one of the worst performances from a group of guards I've seen. The Connecticut as a whole hit maybe 5 jump shots all game. They hit that one after Duke just decided to not want to get fouled. It turns into a turnover. We get this is like a re-rendition of the Kihei Clark moment when Furman beat Virginia a couple years ago, but this is probably worse than that in some aspects. Don, where do you want to start? There's so many different avenues to go at, and this is probably the game we're going to talk about the most. I mean, it's one of the wildest endings I've ever seen, and a truly unfathomable loss for Duke.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is, and they showed the stat. Number one seeds went up 15 or more at the end of the first half for 134-0 all time in NCAA tournament history. All time. So this is an all-time collapse, right?
Mm-hmm.
John Shire is known for these all-time collapses. Listen, let's just think about his last three tournament runs, right? Think about the Elite Eight in 2024 when they blew a 9-point lead against DJ Burns and NC State. Last year, they blew a 14-point lead against Houston in the Final Four. This year, 19-point lead blown to this UConn team, who, by the way, again, has not lost a game in rounds Sweet 16 or later since before they won the 2011
2009. 2009 was the last time they lost a game after the second round.
How unbelievable is that?
It's a wild statistic.
We have seen a Dan Hurley masterclass. We knew that Duke wasn't going to win the national title when John Shire was getting outcoached by Jerry McNamara in a 16 seed earlier in this tournament. So I knew off the rip that they weren't going to get there. I assumed they would make it to the Final Four just because they had the talent, but also too they had probably people are going to say they had the toughest draw, and I truly think that they did. I think that them getting UConn as their two showed that they did not want to play them at all. And I get it, they were up early, but the thing is, and Duke had it all year, they couldn't hold on to these big leads. Because what they do is they get up and then they try to do this thing where they just work the ball around in the shot clock. They don't make their shots consistently. And then all of a sudden, their whole offensive game plan goes out the window. And then they're screwed. So that's what happened, I think. And, this says a multiple of things to me. One, I don't think Cameron Boozer is now officially a top 2 pick in the NBA draft. I really don't. I thought he played okay tonight. He had 27, 8, and 4. But it was very much so like early. He had all that early. He didn't do much down the stretch. He had 4 turnovers.
The turnovers are it's not even just him, but as a whole, I thought he was really good. His short roll game is really impressive, but man, there are so many possessions where him or his brother just get lazy. Like, remember when St. John's on Friday built that 10-point lead? It was entirely off of both of the Boozer twins basically getting drunk for a 5-minute stretch.
Yeah.
And being careless. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying. And I will even say I thought Cam today was really good.
So again, this year, they were up 13 against North Carolina. They lost. They were up by 17 against Texas Tech. They lost. They have not. Their last 4 losses are all after leading by double digits. That's including the Final Four loss last year. Like, I just don't know what else you can do if you're John Shire. Where do you go wrong? What drawing board do you go to? Because if I'm Duke, listen, their class coming in next year is good, but it's not as highly advertised as it's been in the past couple of years. So already I'm kind of, I shouldn't say worried because I'm not a Duke guy. I'm so happy that Duke could potentially be bad. But like he had to win it within the last few years, and he just hasn't done it. He's made 1 Final Four. With the amount of talent that he has, the fact that he hasn't done it yet is, I would be concerned if I was a Duke faithful because I don't trust him. Would you trust him?
Here's the point. Like, it's easy for I understand it, even though I do personally think it's wild. Like, we're going to talk about my Brad Underwood take and how dead wrong I was 3 weeks ago, but like with Shire, it's like, come on, man, that's like actually thinking he's a bad coach is crazy. But here's the and I don't think he is at all. Here's the where you split the line. You do have to hold certain players accountable for certain things. And I'm not like the NC State loss a couple like 2 year or 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was, is what it is. Because like that Duke team was incredibly flawed, and I think they made the Sweet 16, or excuse me, they made the Elite Eight kind of sort of off the back of Houston being incredibly injured in that Sweet 16 game, like Emmanuel or oh God, what was his name? One of their like Jamal Shed, I think that was his final year, and he didn't even play because he was hurt. They had another guard that got hurt during the game, so like that was a bit fortunate for Duke. And then they ran into DJ Burns, who literally turned into a god for 6 weeks, or 3 weeks, excuse me. I'm more looking at like today and the game against Houston last year. Those are the ones like, and I put out on Facebook, obviously, yes, my post. I'm being hyperbolic while I'm saying I'm not being hyperbolic. A coach, a guy I'm friends with, he mentioned, he's a coach. He mentions how talent doesn't win championships, tougher teams do, and that is true. Like UConn was tougher in the end. Last year, Houston was way tougher than Duke, especially when you look at like Malawatch last year had 0 rebounds against Houston. And it wasn't even, and a friend of mine who's a Duke fan was talking about like, well, he was trying to say, well, look at these freshmen. These freshmen always mess up. And even I always talk about how you can't win with freshmen, but like, it's not really the freshmen's fault to a degree. I mean, today, what Boozer did today was unfathomably like an all-time gaffe. And we'll kind of break it down bit by bit more here in a sec, but like, that was an all-time gaffe. But like last year's game, I know Malawalk was a freshman and he was bad in that game, but Sion James was a like 6th-year guy and he was awful. Tyrese Proctor was terrible against Houston. Like both of those guys were awful, and they were multi-year starters around the country. So like it's a mix of both. And yeah, like the fact that it's been two entirely different casts of characters that have had a loss like this. The one difference in this compared to last year and this year, and I think you will agree with me, and I understand that some of it has been the fact that Duke has been injured with Gongba and Foster, even though they're back now. But since postseason play started, so since the ACC tournament started to now, pulled one out of their ass against Florida State, pulled one out of their ass against Virginia. I don't remember who they played in the semis of the ACC tournament, but I think they won comfortably, or am I tripping? But against Florida State and Virginia, those are two games they absolutely should have lost, or at least could have lost.
They beat Clemson by 12.
Oh yeah, Clemson. They played Clemson, and Clemson was ass. But FSU was up 9, and Duke came back, and it was FSU had the ball with a chance to win. Virginia was at the line to tie the game and missed 2 free throws. Duke was down 13 points to a 16 seed in the second half. It was going to be a 15-point deficit before Siena missed 2 dunks. The second one sprung an Isaiah Evans fast break, which cut the lead to 11, and the game completely flipped from there. They were trailing in the second half to TCU, and it was like a 2-possession game when a missed goaltend and a technical foul on the coach, on Jamie Dixon, completely swung that game. Yep. And then they were down 10 to St. John's, and then today they're up 19 and blow it. Like, Duke has skated by inches in all of these games over the last 3 weeks. They were like, you had a feeling that they were bound to get clipped. It's why, in my opinion, I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, like, Michigan's the team to beat. We'll talk about them here in a little bit and the other teams, because it's like, yes, Duke beat them in the regular season, and Duke's the number 1 overall seed, but Duke has not played really well as of late. The thing they've been able to do, Don, is they've just been able to reach up and pull the "we've got more talent than you" lever in all of these games. And today, they finally struck out.
Well, let's put this into perspective, right? Duke has 0 NCAA titles or title appearances since 2015-2016, despite having, let's read names: let's just read a list of names that they've had, shall we? Brandon Ingram, NBA All Star. Luke Kennard, serviceable player in the league. Jason Tatum, Marvin Bagley III, Gary Trent Jr., Javon Duvall, Wendell Carter Jr., the trio of Zion Williamson, R.J. Barish, and Cam Reddish with Trey Jones. Jalen Johnson, Paolo Banchero, who was on the last team that Coach K ever coached. Mark Williams, Kyle Filipowski, Derek Lively, Jared McCain, Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, Zion James, Cameron Bruiser, Common Mallock. The list just goes on and on and on. They've had these guys that have been highly talented recruits and guys that have played well at the next level, and they still have yet to win one since 2014 when they beat, or 2015, excuse me, when they beat Wisconsin, and they avoided playing the best team in the country at the time in Kentucky. Like they can't keep getting away with this. If you're Duke, regular season doesn't matter anymore. You have to have success in the tournament. And I believe they've only made 2 Final Fours since, correct?
They made the Final Four last
Final
year,
Four?
the year in Coach K's final year. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, you might be right.
Because they did it with Bencaro and them. They did it last year, obviously.
And I don't think they did it at. They didn't do it with.
Yeah,
because they didn't do it with any of those other guys. They didn't do it with Zion. They didn't do it. Tatum lost to South Carolina in the second round.
16, second round, Elite Eight, Final Four, second round, Elite Eight, Final Four.
Here is where I get like it is a combination of like it goes, and we've seen it every year for literally ever. I mean, there's still only one team in the last, God, 20 years now. There's only been one team really since the team with Melo did it in 2003 that has won a title that have been led by freshmen, like heavily led by freshmen. And it was the 2011 team led with Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, you could argue, I guess you could also argue, my apologies, the Duke team with Jaleel and Justice Winslow in them. So two teams. So those are the only two teams in the last 20 years that have actually won the title like this. So, yes, obviously the formula, like, listen, you're going to get wins. You're going to be in the mix if you keep getting in the tournament with these teams, and you're going to obviously have success by getting these high-level players. So that is like the widespread context, the more like macro, I guess, or whatever. It's just crazy how these last 2 years they have lost in these just insane ways. And again, this year, too, you just go back and you look at the final stretch, like post the under 8 timeout, when Duke got kind of back in when Duke kind of regained some momentum a bit and got back up, I think, like 9. It's a lot of turnovers that spring some easy moments for UConn. It's some bad possessions. When was the last Cam Boozer shot of the game? Or I guess that was the second to last possession, I guess, because they got the switch with Caravan on him. And look, Connecticut finally made some plays. They finally hit some jump shots. Silas Demery hit a tough jumper late in the game. When they needed it, they hit 2 corner threes that were big. Caravan on a beautiful little double curl pin down. The second one, he comes free off a great screen from Reed, and he hits a jumper that cut it to 1 and kind of allowed the game to be chaotic. But it's not like Connecticut, again, we mentioned they were flawless in this comeback. They missed free throws down the stretch. Solo ball was abysmal. And Caravan couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat for about 30 minutes. Mullins was literally horrendous until that final shot.
Yeah, he was bad. He was bad tonight.
He was awful. And it's truly one of the worst losses I've ever seen. Again, you can call it crazy, you can call it heat of the moment, but I don't know, man. it's hard for me to think off the top of my head that I've seen one about as bad as that, because like again, it's worse. It's, in my opinion, it's worse than last year's. As bad as that was, at least in the case of Houston, they forced a lot of those mistakes. Houston is one of maybe the toughest team. They are the toughest team to hold off at the end of those games, because they can walk you down easily with their press and their athleticism and their length. And God knows they're going to hack and whack you a bunch, and the refs are barely going to call it because it's just chaotic. Trust me. On Thursday night when Illinois was up 18, I'm like, God damn, we got to fend off these dudes now for the last 10 minutes. And it got a little dicey a couple times, but all in all, they held them off. So, like, yeah, the Houston loss was bad too, but, you know, it wasn't nearly as bad as this. I think this, Don, is just, it's just erasable. Like, to gaff the way they did there at the end. You get the break because he misses the first free throw. He makes the second, and then I understand getting it. Boozer could have just stood there, and the clock would have ran out. Yep. It's, oh my God.
But again, you have timeouts in your pocket, and the second that you see the two guys with Caden, I'd be yelling for a timeout right there. I get it, you know. There's two guys that are deep on the other side, but it was 5-on-3 in that scenario there. Get it? Call timeout. You're at the half court. You kill 5 seconds, and then you make them have to foul. It's just bad coaching. It's been bad coaching. And honestly, I'm telling you, both the boosters are going to be gone. Isaiah Evans is probably going to the draft. Caleb Foster will probably play one more year. That they're not going to be as good next year. Like, they might lose double-digit games next year.
I would be shocked, but like 35-2
compared to what they have coming in right now, depending on what they do in the transfer portal, is a big thing. But I mean, there's no stud freshman coming in next year. They have a 5-star, but I don't think he's that talented.
The two guys they're definitely going to probably lose. At least, well, Caden could stay. I think Evans should go to the draft.
Caden will.
And Cam will go, obviously. But yeah, it's Cam Boozer and Kihei Clark walked into a bar, and one of them threw a roll of quarters. One of them carelessly threw a roll of quarters across the. I screwed up the joke. But regardless, what a boy, oh boy. What a wild sequence in turn of events. Any other thoughts? Anything else that we didn't touch on before we get to the other games?
No, I think you kind of nailed the head on the head.
Before we get in, and we'll do probably a small breakdown of the Final Four games tonight. Obviously, we're gonna have so much. We're gonna be doing. We'll have the weekend warm-up on we'll record Thursday and will be released on Friday. We'll do the Golden Ticket Show Friday night, which will have probably, I'm sure Don and Steve are going to and Kev are going to have about 400 different things you can prop bet and parlay for the Final Four this weekend. So we'll see. Shaking your head like you're gonna let the people down with.
I'm not allowed to bet on
betting content. Oh my gosh! What? Oh, you don't get props.
Nope, not in my state.
That's fair. Well, you'll find something that you can fine tune.
That'll be easy.
Yeah. We will have a bunch of content ready to rock for you leading in. So we'll break down the games a little bit. I do want to mention this for UConn. Lost in all of this is Terrace Reed has turned into I don't even know. I couldn't think of an actual player to comp him to, but let me just go is this Charles Barkley-esque what he's been doing in the tournament? Is it What he's been doing in the NCAA tournament has been incredible. Like, obviously, he's been great this year, but he has had an out of body experience in 3 of these 4 games. 26-9 in this game, 3 assists. And if it wasn't for him in the first 30 minutes of the game, they might have been down like 50. He was the only guy that could score.
Yeah. Do you know who he's been playing like?
Who?
I think he's played like kind of like a stronger version of Jalen Durant.
Ooh, there you go. That's a good one.
I think that's his point. I listen. They are just UConn. You can't count them out at any point in any game with Dan Hurley at the helm. It's one of the greater runs. I think they're 17-1 in the last 4 years in the NCAA tournament. And the one time they lost to the eventual national champions, the Florida Gators. So, I mean, just what they do, man. Like, you always count them out, but they're never out. They're always in.
Mm-hmm.
So I am just first look, with them matching up against Illinois. I think Hurley's going to make the Everson's brothers beat them. I think their guard play on both sides is going to be key, obviously. And I know you want to, so let's transition into your Brad Underwood apology, but I think that there might be a chance that Dan Hurley makes Brad Underwood look like he's in a blender. I think
he definitely could.
I think he can outcoach the fuck out of him.
He definitely could. I thought it's going to be intriguing if Illinois plays the defense the way they have been. That's going to be their biggest shot. We'll get into some of the superlatives. I've got a very intriguing stat, just like some things to note from the first meeting and why I think you can't take anything that happened in the first meeting at all to heart back in on Thanksgiving, or the day after Thanksgiving, I should say. Let's talk Illinois in general, and then we'll kind of look at the matchup. Yes, I owe Brad Underwood an apology. I've never been more wrong about anything in my sports life. It also speaks to how crazy things can flip and how sometimes you need maybe a little bit of a break, and sometimes you just need things to hit what you might feel like is rock bottom to really for things to switch. Today is March 29th, 2026. On Friday, March 13th, literally 16 days ago, I came on the Golden Ticket Show, sitting on my couch, very angry, eating buffalo chicken strips, and showed you guys my dog to try to cope with how pissed I was, and said Brad Underwood could not get Illinois. He got in Illinois as far as he could take him. And now, 16 days later, they're in the Final Four. That 16 days ago, I wrote a Facebook post that I mocked last night and said, basically, clown this dude, he's an idiot. And I was dead wrong. The reverse jinx of the century, I guess. I did not think Illinois had what it took to get to where they are now. Even after the wins against Penn, which was dominant, and the win against VCU, which was dominant, I was still like, okay, do we have what it takes to beat a team like Houston? And what they did against Houston was so damn impressive. The best win of the Brad Underwood era. They legitimately dusted a top 5 team in Houston. And wire to wire, basically, or more so, at least the last 30 minutes, got up 18, never got closer than I think 8. That was impressive. And then obviously to win against Iowa after the game really started terribly. And it looked like the moment was too big for them. And I was so mad at halftime it wasn't even an Underwood thing during the game against Iowa. It was like the moment for Wagler and for Mirkovic and for just some of the other guys. Like for the first time, it was like this looks way too big for them. And I don't know what happened in the second half, but they settled down. Keaton Wagler is what. Pardon my French, folks. Hide the children. Hide the women and children. Keaton Wagler, folks, is what the fuck they look like. He is so good, and he absolutely brought them home. But not just him. Merck in the second half was sensational, and how fitting down the stretch when they needed to put the game away. They rolled the ball into the big dudes and said, "Go to work." A team that throughout this season had been labeled as finesse, which they have been. They've been labeled as not tough, which at times they haven't been. To finish the game the way they did was so damn impressive. Tommy Visic down the stretch getting a couple big post-up touches and they to score. Merck in the second half was incredible. The lob to Big Z to put him up 8. And the defense, once again, they gave up only 6 field goals in the second half, 6 makes in the second half, which is mind-boggling after Iowa looked like they couldn't miss in the first 10 minutes. It was a hell of a win, man, and it's a cap to what this program has done over the last 7 years now, 8 years now, or whatever it's been under him. And it's a truest statement of you get in this tournament enough, you're going to get a little bit of a break. Sometimes you make the Elite Eight and you play a team that's about to win 2 straight titles in UConn. Yep. And sometimes you get in the Elite Eight and you play a 9 seed. It just so happened to be your conference rival, and they took advantage of it, and they're in the Final Four, and they are the way they are playing, they are absolutely as live to win this whole thing as anybody. Now, granted, the 2 teams on the right side of the bracket, which we're going to touch on, look pretty damn dominant compared to the teams on the left side. But, Don, I maybe monologued too long there, but what a run for Illinois. And the game against UConn is going to be pretty damn fun.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to start the night, I think. I do think for Illinois, guys like Ayo Dosamu, Terrence Shannon Jr., Kofi Cockburn, they sacrificed for a team like this to get here. 2 big things that they did was whoever recruited Keaton Wagler deserves a medal because he was on no one's radar at all.
Tyler Underwood. He found him.
And then the second is them bringing in Andrej Stojakovic.
Yeah.
Those 2 have been key to their success. Like when Boswell was missing time, people said that Illinois was dead. They were done. And they were winning games without Kylan Boswell, who was the heart and soul of this team.
Their 2 best wins of the year were without him, at Purdue and at Nebraska.
And if you recall, we talked a month before the tournament started, and you said, right now, who are 4 teams do you think could make the Final Four? And I have said 3 of the 4 teams that are in there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And shame on me for not trusting Illinois and Brad Underwood, but listening to you talk about him so negatively just put such a sour taste in my mouth. I was like, I can't do this to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's one of the biggest things I regret is not taking Illinois to win that side because it's 100%. Because Kudasar coming from a mile away. This group is just different. Listen, and people be like, oh, well, they played an 11 seed and they blew them out. Cool. 11 seeds win. Sometimes the 11 seeds shouldn't even be an 11 seed.
Yeah.
Iowa should have never been a 9 seed. Iowa went on a great run. But you and I both knew that whoever won after Florida went down, whoever won the game between Illinois and Houston was going to the Final Four.
Yes.
We knew this. We saw it coming from a mile away. Now we need to see which team continues to play well for the next. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a grind. 40 minutes. Illinois has to be ready for the grind against UConn because Dan Hurley's in that group is going to make it work. And we have guys like Alex Caravan who could be in elite company. Elite company. Because Alex Caravan, if they win this year, Alex Caravan could have 3 titles in 4 years.
3 titles. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy what he's been able to do. You mentioned Stojakovic. I'll say this, there were parts of the season when it was people were too down on him at times where it was like, well, can Andre Ball lead to winning? And I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, he's some of his best games, like the Texas Tech game, and think of the game against Iowa, where the first Iowa game where he started. But like these tournament games have been the perfect combination of what he does great and what the team's done great. Like they were really bad for about a 5 or 6 minute stretch against VCU, and that game got weird. And
Yep.
Stojakovic carried us to the mountaintop to give us a lead going into half, and then we took off. He had some huge plays. He was great defensively against Houston. And then again against Iowa, when we're sucking ass in the first half, he was the guy that was making shots. And what he has done all season, man, like his drives are so key, and his ability to get to the rim, and his defense has been so like his defense on Sturts in the second half was incredible. And yeah, man, what the fact that Illinois has got here where their best four players have been so good. Wagler, Stojakovic, Mirkovic, and then Tommy Visic, who has had a very weird year. And he came into the season, and we all thought he was going to be their best guy. We all thought like he was an all Big Ten level player. He got hurt. He got hurt right before the season started. Missed the first couple weeks. Has had small spot performances of greatness, but outside of that, it's been a lot rough. It's been a lot of rough stuff, and there have been stretches here over the last couple of months where he has like barely made jump shots, but he's found different ways to chip in, and I just love the fact that I love the fact that last night I said this, man. I swear to God, I was texting a bunch of people during the game. I was at a bar with a bunch of my friends. It was a bunch of Iowa and Illinois fans there last night. I felt like I went through triple bypass surgery watching that game because it was like, dude, if we don't capitalize this, I'm going to never live this down. And it was 51-50 after Sturts made 2 free throws with about 8 minutes left, about 7:50 left. And I'm texting like 2 or 3 people during the game, and I'm like, I literally said the same thing. I was like, we need to land one haymaker. The way the game started allowed Iowa to play the game kind of in this muck. Mm-hmm. We just need to land one haymaker down the stretch. And from that point forward, they did. And they took their shot and they knocked them out. And I just love the fact that on 2 of the biggest possessions of the year on offense, this team that has been, people say they're, they are finesse, they're not tough, they're not physical. They rolled the ball into their big 7'2" center, and he got 2 shots at the basket. And I was just like, God damn, bro. I was so hyped. I was so happy to see that because for Ivisic too, like it's been a really weird year for him, like I said, and to see him have those moments down the stretch is really cool. And I wanted to go ahead.
So you brought up back a little bit ago about when they met it was around Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah, the day after Thanksgiving they played at MSG.
Yeah. In that game, Illinois shot 32% from the field. Stojakovic and Wagler had 6 combined points and shot 2 of 10 from the field. That's gonna be like we're gonna get a completely different.
And here's what I was gonna say. Here was some of the minutes distribution in that game for Illinois.
Yeah.
Jake Davis played 8 minutes. Brandon Lee played 11 minutes. He doesn't play anymore. Mihajlo Petrovic, who was a guy they brought in who they thought was going to be a nice little backup point guard, has kind of fallen off because he can't guard anybody. He played 18 minutes in that game. Mirkovic only played 18 minutes, and Keaton Wagler in that game only played 14 minutes. So, yes, that was one of the only games this year where Illinois kind of got punked, but also it will be a completely different team that UConn will have faced than the first time these 2 teams played. So, it's going to be a very intriguing game, and both of these games on Saturday should be really, really good. And with moving that, I want to talk about Arizona and Michigan. I did a Brad Underwood apology. Do you have to do a Tommy Lloyd apology then?
No, not yet. I
Okay.
don't have to do a Tommy Lloyd apology yet. If they beat Michigan, I will declare a Tommy Lloyd apology.
You got to admit what they have done in the tournament so far. I mean, it's impressive as hell. They are blasting teams.
Okay. Let's call a spade here. Arkansas, they got every bounce. They got every call. They played that game 10 times out of 10. Arizona does not shoot that great from the field against them. And the whole game changed in the first half. And I'll sit on this till I die. The first, and this is what happened out there. They were very whistle happy in the West Sweet 16 matchups. Um, but the first 2 minutes, both of Arkansas's bigs picked up a foul, and it changed the whole complexion of the game. They got a foul. They each got a foul in the first 45 seconds, and it changed the whole complexion of how that game played. But listen, you give them credit. Bury's has been great. Jaden Bradley has been solid. Cole Pete hasn't been as great as he was during points and times during the regular season. They just they're hitting shots. They're defending well. They're hitting shots. They can't miss. So it's not a coaching aspect for Tommy Lloyd because the team is playing well. I think if they lose to Michigan, because I do think that there's a chance that Dusty May outcoaches Tommy Lloyd. Because I still don't think Tommy Lloyd's a good coach. John Chai made a Final Four last year with that fucking generational team.
Hey, there you go.
Make a Final Four. So if he wins the Final Four, I will apologize. I will do a public apology. But I do think, hands down, that Arizona, what they've done is impressive, but it doesn't sell me. I think Michigan, from top to bottom, is better. I think their front court is way better. I think the fact that Krivas is going to have to guard a guy of the size of Mara is going to create some problems for them. They're not going to have the same sort of success on the board. And I would say Mara is 2 levels better than Oscar Clough, correct?
Oh God, dude, I made a very hot take today, and I said Ade Mara is the best player in college basketball. if his usage rate, if Ade Mara's usage rate was higher because he's on a fucking super team, if his usage rate was higher, he'd put up 80 numbers. You cannot convince me otherwise.
I don't know. Agree to disagree until we see it, but
that's fair.
He is.
But yes, I agree with what you're saying. He is definitely better than Oscar Clough.
So I don't see where Purdue's not going to have this. Arizona's not going to have the same success against Michigan. And people are going to say, oh, well, Michigan had a fucking cakewalk. They played nobody going into the Sweet 16. They played an Alabama team without their starting point guard. They played Tennessee, who was lucky to be there, yada, yada, yada. It's like, listen, you get the draw you get. Leave Michigan alone. Dusty May is going to win his first national title. And if he doesn't, it's going to be Hurley winning his third. That's what's going to happen. Those are the 2 outcomes that's going to happen within the next 10 days.
The only thing that I'm sad about us having to play UConn instead of Duke. I mean, here's one other thing. If it would have been Illinois and then the 3-1 seeds, everyone would have been picking one of them and then Illinois, and then be like, if Illinois wins, this is an all-time hilarious title. No one picked us, and we did it anyway. But anywho, we'll see.
I mean, still, no one's picking. I mean, even that you're the favorite against UConn, no one's going to pick you guys.
No, and I think I truly think that game is a toss, which I think you believe it as well. I definitely think that both Final Four games are a toss-up, in my opinion.
I feel more confident about Dan Hurley outcoaching Brad Underwood.
That's fair. That's fine.
That is my more confident matchup. I'm more confident in Michigan's front court against Arizona's front court. If that makes sense.
I think. Oh no, I get that. I think Michigan is going to win it all, but I've been saying that I foolishly didn't pick them to win the tournament in any brackets I did. I was trying to be up against the grain, but again, the thing I've been saying the last couple weeks is if Michigan doesn't win it all, it's a hilarious gag job because they have built a super team. They literally have a super team.
Fun fact about Michigan: Michigan has made 8 Final Fours, no national semifinal losses.
Yeah, infamously, one of them was 1989 against the Illinois Fighting Illini, the Flying Illini
So,
team. Uh, that is a
so
wild stat, by the way. Good lord.
just saying.
Is their
But
only title in '89 though? So they're 1-6 in
yep.
Natties.
hmm
Jesus, that's brutal. I mean,
I mean,
it's hard to get
the
there,
the
but
the
man,
the Louisville one. They should have won. They
that
should have
is
won the Louisville one, and then they were not on the same planet as that Villanova team that year.
God no. No, and that opened up for Michigan on that entire side of the bracket too because they played. Which again, it's I'm not saying you listen. You take advantage of what you get in the tournament. I'm not saying anyone's lucky. I hate the thing I hate the most. Like if you and I went back here and did like a March Madness pet peeves draft, my first pick uh, would be like teams who after they make the Final Four, they sit there and put up the results. They're like, wow, what an easy path. Look at how easy this path was for. Shut up. It's hard to win these games, and you get there. Sometimes you catch breaks, whatever. And that isn't even an Illinois thing. I saw people saying Arizona's path was incredibly easy, and I know what you said, but like or Michigan's. It's like, guys, stop. What are we doing here?
No.
Um, but I say all that to say like God, I tangented and now I forgot what we were talking about. We were talking about Michigan in the title game.
Yep.
But yes, that year they played like a 9 seeds Florida State in the Elite Eight. Then they played Loyola in the semis,
Yep.
and then they were not on the same planet as that Villanova team. Like not at all. Uh, that is a wild stat. Never lost in the semis. That game's gonna be something, man. I mean, good lord. I'm either going to be watching it I will be watching it with the largest smile on my face with my feet kicked up, or I'll be watching it sad. Which, I mean, I'd be sad, but I don't know if I'll be like super sad.
What's worst case scenario? That they just get the doors blown off them?
If they, like, worst case scenario would probably be like if they gagged it, like something like bad, like a real choke job.
But would you be upset if like UConn comes out and just fucking blitzes them and they beat them by 30 and it wasn't even close? Or would you be more mad? Or would you be more mad if it was like a Duke situation, up by 15 at the half, and then they lose it in the second half?
I'd be way more furious if they blew another one. Like if they had like a collapse like Duke did.
Okay.
Like if they just get beat and they lose by like if they lose a close game or at this point, you know what I mean? But obviously, listen, and I know for me as a fan, I'm sitting here like, hey, I'm geeked. I'm so happy. I never thought I'd get to see this, but I know as a team they are driven to win the national title, and I do think they match up with UConn well. So it's going to be interesting to see. Should be a fun, and I think both games are going to be fascinating.
For sure.
We brushed over Arizona, Michigan. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about them? We really didn't talk much about Michigan. Yaxel's playing crazy. We mentioned Mara, who's been good. Bama made them sweat a little bit, and then in the second half they said, "LOL, okay, let's stop fucking around," and then it got ugly.
I think so. I think the key in that Michigan game, it's one player, and I hate it because I hate the fact that he left.
Elliot Cadeau.
Elliot Cadeau is the key. If Elliot Cadeau plays, Elliot Cadeau can have fucking 8+ assists and not turn the ball over, they can beat anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key there. And I'll tell you this: Trey McKinney, if he comes off the bench and gets hot, they're tough to beat. They're tough.
Yeah, when they're hitting jump shots, like you have no shot.
Correct. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm excited. It also took the line right off the rip. I see Arizona getting a 1.5. Arizona's dogs. I think the public's gonna hammer them because nobody's talking about Michigan. Everybody's all over this Arizona team. Everybody's now gonna be all over this UConn. So I think it works out in favors for a bunch of different.
I'm very curious as of right now because I wonder what it's going to show for me because I'm in Illinois, so I can't bet on Illinois college basketball. I'm curious, like, what if you could pull up like any betting site you use, what are just the odds to win the national title? So right now I see Michigan plus 100, Arizona plus 110, UConn plus 650. What's Illinois probably like plus 5 something?
There right now. I would assume they're probably 450.
450 maybe.
Let's see. Plus they're 4-1.
Okay.
So I have Arizona and Michigan both plus 175, Illinois plus 400, UConn plus 550.
Okay, well, yeah, you can get hella if you want UConn to win the title, you can get pretty damn good odds to win for them on FanDuel right now. They're plus 650. Um uh so yeah, because I'm in Illinois, I can't bet that, which is weird, but regardless, you can also currently bet games. You can also bet Rutgers plus 3.5 against Creighton in the Crown this week if you're a degenerate. I just saw that randomly. I wanted to mention that.
Shout out
Huh?
Kev. Shout out Kev. He'll bet that.
There we go. So yes, Illinois. It is clear that Arizona and Michigan are the favorites.
So my thing is, I feel like the books are setting you up for a trap with UConn. Where UConn is, where you can get them at right now, if you look at it,
to win the whole thing, yeah.
Like, who's not going to fucking take a stab at UConn win the whole thing right now?
No, that's great value. Literally, them at plus 650 is incredible value.
So, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But I still think it's Michigan right now. Gun to my head, I'm taking the Wolverines.
I would agree with you, yes. But I think them in Arizona is just going to be the greatest car crash ever.
Well, also, don't forget, Michigan scored over 90 points in every NCAA tournament game they played this year.
I was going to say this, and I'm curious on your reaction. I guess, you can argue, because you said it with you. We did a weekend warm-up about a month and a half ago where we said, who are four teams that you really feel good about making the Final Four? You said UConn, Michigan, and Illinois. Clearly, those were three of them. Obviously, you were hot and cold on Arizona. I was going to say this. If Duke didn't choke that game, Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Illinois, that Final Four, would you have agreed that probably would have felt like the teams that have been the four best teams this year?
Yeah, I mean,
even though the difference being Illinois has like 5 losses either in overtime or by 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make the case because they're definitely four. They would have been 4 of the better teams all year. I still think it's 4 of the better teams that are.
Yeah, UConn's like 4. Yeah, UConn and like if Arizona and Michigan are 1 and 2, Illinois and UConn are like 4th and 5th.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think this is probably the better Final Four we've seen in a while, and I don't know. I have a good feeling about the next 3 games overall are just going to be 3 games that we're going to remember. Because what's happening right now is, yes, we're getting the Cinderella runs are kind of done this year, but the stories galore. I mean, Arizona and Illinois both made Final Fours for the first time in over 20 years. Michigan going back after being 8 and something a couple years ago. UConn having the chance to win 3 and 4 years as elite. Like, there are so many different storylines coming into next weekend that I think will be talked about, and I think no matter which one writes their name in the storybook, I think that they're going to be it's going to be a hell of a story.
And all like outside of like the Friday of opening weekend, every day of this tournament has had like banger games. I get 3 of the 4 Elite 8 games ended double digits, but I mean, the Illinois-Iowa game was tight until the end. Trust me, I would know. Yeah. I almost had a heart attack. So, yeah. Yes. But just some, all in all, incredible stuff. Quick here before we get off, Brian with a comment. If Iowa doesn't beat Florida, are we even talking about Illinois in the Final Four? Probably.
I think so. I mean, listen, I don't think that the issue with Florida is they did very well against the SEC. all their non-con, they were not good this year, especially when they lost to TCU earlier in the year. That's when I knew it wasn't going to be the same. I had them, I think, in my Elite Eight. I didn't have them higher than that. I thought whoever was winning the Houston Illinois matchup was going to make the Final Four anyways, no matter if they played Florida or not. So
Yeah, Nebraska could have knocked them off.
yeah, I mean, also too, don't forget they could have if Florida won. If Tyler Tanner's ball was running it out,
they could have got Vandy again, and
they could have played Vandy again. And Vandy already had their number.
Yeah, like I think what we learned was Florida was kind of like we should have maybe looked more into Florida being flawed than going into the tournament. Even though I like, and again, credit to what Iowa did. It was an incredible run. Ben McCollum's a G, like legitimately terrifying. So I'm not taking anything away from that when I say this, but for like Illinois or for Iowa, or for Florida, just maybe we should have saw more with what they did outside of SEC play coming into the tournament.
I mean,
they were very gettable.
That was my biggest argument.
Yeah. And it takes nothing away from what Iowa did, because I thought they were going to get blasted. And they controlled that game, and they ended up winning. So
I thought Iowa matched up better with them because they take time with their possession, and Florida wants to go, go, go. If Florida can't go, 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 they're in trouble.
No, they controlled that game. So if Florida, let's say Fulgaris misses that corner three and Florida holds on, Nebraska or Illinois could have got him. Definitely. So, but I I think it's an interesting perspective because, man,
it's definitely a good question.
Yeah. All right, we did great. Wrapping up in under an hour. We'll be back at the end of this week to get deeper dive into the Final Four. Don, thanks for hanging out, my friend.
Listen, anytime John Schreiber loses, you know damn well I'm up.
You got to take advantage of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. We're glad we could do it. Thank you for hanging out with us. This has been the Educated Ignorance Podcast. If you ain't got your game, you best pass the six. We will see you guys later this week with the weekend warm-up. We also might have a new episode of the Real Ignorance Pod. We're going to be reviewing, I'm pretty sure, we're going to be doing a Wolf of Wall Street review at some point. If you are into, if you went and saw Project Hail Mary over the opening 2 weekends, we uploaded a Project Hail Mary review on Friday. Go check that out. Ethan, Blake and I were on it as always, and our good friend Ethan joined the show as well. It was a grand old time. It was amaze, as our homeboy Rocky said in Project Hail Mary. All right, thanks to Don as well again for hanging out with us. We will see you guys next time. Thank you for hanging out. We are out. Shout out to Duke for giving us endless entertainment. And until next time, have a wonderful week. See you guys. Peace.
See you.